Welcome back to Inside Look, an Inside Ambition segment where we take a deep dive into something happening here at Drexel. I'm Alexandra George. And before you click away to a video of the actual John Oliver, please make sure that you're subscribed to our channel and following us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Today, we're talking about sex. Don't worry, I'm not here to give you the birds and the bees lecture and leave you never looking at your parents the same way again for 4 to 7 business days. I want to talk about sex as college students, how it really happens. Somehow, as college students, we are always talking about sex. Hookup culture is real, but at the same time, we are not talking about the very serious dangers that come with it. No, not chlamydia. Well, yes, that, but we can talk about that another time. We have all heard stories of someone or some 2 or some 10 people who engage in problematic behaviors. Take 1 second to think. It probably won't even take you that long to think of someone rumored to be a serial abuser. We have all heard stories, or perhaps you just have a gut feeling about someone that rubs you the wrong way. Or maybe you yourself are a survivor and you know a little bit too well what I'm talking about. Now, let's take an inside look. Every 73 seconds in the United States, someone is sexually assaulted. 1 in every 4 college women will be sexually assaulted during their undergrad, as well as 1 in 16 men. That doesn't even take into account the much higher rates of sexual violence for people of color and members of the LGBTQ+ community. And out of all of these cases, only 1 in 5 people formally report. At least 68% of all rape cases are never reported, and only 6% of those that are result in a prison sentence. This is such a big issue that we have addressed it on our channel twice before. Maybe if you people watched our videos, we wouldn't have to keep talking about this. Who wants to hear all this coming from a 21-year-old white girl who has a history of saying some pretty suggestive things about a certain campus furry? But I'll have you know that I stand by every single word I've said. Mario, you can pick me up and fly me away anytime you like. His eyes are literally gold, y'all. You know me, I'm all about the jokes, but it is long past time to start taking the culture of sexual assault and harassment on college campuses seriously. This is not about an isolated incident. This is about the behavior we see on a day-to-day basis. We all need to start taking some responsibility for the hookup culture, or rather, sexual assault culture that is college life. And before we get any further into this, I want to make it very clear. None of this is the fault or the responsibility of survivors. They did not ask to be brought into this narrative. And as great as speaking up can be, it is not always the best choice for certain people. Besides, it can take years for people to even recognize that what happened to them was sexual assault, and that is okay. It should never fall on survivors doing the reporting to be the only way that people are held accountable. I think we can all recognize that to combat the culture of sexual assault, this is not a conversation about what to do in reaction. We need to talk about prevention. Once again, it is any survivor's choice to report formally, informally, within the university system, or otherwise. And that is completely okay. What is not okay, in my opinion, is that it seems like there is a large majority of people who do not feel comfortable reporting incidents through the Office of Equality and Diversity at Drexel. We pay way too much money to not feel comfortable doing that. Everyone here works for us. So we have to ask ourselves why. Many times, students who report sexual assault at universities have to tell and therefore relive their stories multiple times to school officials. Some may not even hear back from offices until months after a report. This isn't unlike anything in the real world, especially in the United States, where there is a national backlog of rape kits sitting on shelves waiting to be tested, granting abusers time that they do not deserve. The support for survivors should be overwhelming and abundant. And the university's climate should be very much against supporting abusers. If someone even looks at your classmate in an uncomfortable and provocative way, everyone should be calling them out. We need actual, tangible, sufficient change. It should not take someone flying too close to the sun for people to finally care about their behavior. And we know that power means nothing when it comes to sexual assault. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. The rates at which college students are sexually assaulted are truly staggering. And this is only from what we know. Sexual assault is often depicted as an iceberg, where we only know about 10% of the incidents, and the overwhelming majority are under the surface. The culture of binge drinking on college campuses has long been correlated with the existence of sexual assault and rape. The rhetoric that men shouldn't have their lives ruined because they hooked up with a drunk girl is all too common, just as we've seen in the case of ex-Stanford swimmer Brock Turner. He was sentenced for 6 months in jail after he was caught sexually assaulting an unconscious woman behind a dumpster after a college party. He has since been released from jail after serving only half of his 6-month sentence. This norm is most evident on the national scale, as we've seen with particularly men in power. In 2018, it was Brett Kavanaugh who was accused of sexual assault by a former high school classmate, Dr. Ford, who finally spoke out because she couldn't bear to see her abuser sit on the highest court in this country. Regardless, he was confirmed and is now Justice Kavanaugh for life. What kind of precedent does this set? That abusers can climb the ranks into positions of power and furthermore make decisions that influence others? I guess there's no better example to reflect this than former President Donald Trump's inexcusable, notorious phrase, grab 'em by the... Well, I won't repeat it here because we are, after all, a respectable, almost student organization. The former president has been accused of rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment, including non-consensual kissing and groping by at least 25 women since the 1970s. That is a repeated behavior. The only thing scarier than the fact that over 70 million people voted for someone with that past is the fact that studies show that repeat offenders commit an average of 6 or more acts of sexual assault. 6 or more! Regardless of a survivor's gender identity, the rapist is male 99% of the time. In fact, a man is more likely to be a survivor of sexual assault than they are to ever falsely be accused. Fraternity members are 3 times more likely to rape than non-fraternity members. And on average, college athletes represent only 4% of the student population, but commit 19% of sexual assaults. Who would have thunk? Institutions in power messing with people's ability to treat other humans with respect? How peculiar. The most prevalent date rape drug is, you guessed it, alcohol. At least 50% of college student assaults involve alcohol, yet 80 to 90% do not report it. This does not mean that we should shame survivors for drinking, but rather address the binge drinking climate that we as college students have perpetuated. The point of this episode is not to strain my voice or make you listen to an angry rant that offers no call to action. Even though I am angry, I am ranting, and I am going to need a hot tea with lemon after I finish taping, I am standing before you sitting as someone who wants change. College students typically fail to report instances of sexual assault for the following reasons. First, fear that the university won't believe them or that they will be shamed. Second, that thinking the situation is not serious enough or was their fault. And lastly, some are worried that their report will not be treated confidentially and that the university won't take any action. The truth is that mechanisms of reporting are not easy nor friendly towards survivors. Just like how the IRS makes it complicated for you to actually understand what you're doing when filing taxes. Accessibility is key. Drexel, I'm looking at you. There is an ongoing disparity between people getting assaulted and people reporting, and it shouldn't be that way. Imagine someone coming up to you and stealing your cell phone right out of your hand in the middle of the street, and you just shrug it off and say, well, no one's going to believe me, or reporting is too long and complicated of a process. They can just keep my phone. Or be witness to a crime like that and just say, oh, they were asking for it. They had their phone right there in their hand, open for anyone to take it. Everyone knows that bad things happen in Philadelphia or in fraternity basements or in college dorm rooms. So, after my long-winded metaphor, the call to action is adopt transparent and robust disciplinary procedures and sanctions. Have properly resourced student support services and respond and support students in a manner that is timely. And lastly, develop a range of ongoing prevention strategies reinforced by visible university leadership that cultivate an inclusive, diverse, and equitable campus. But also, advocate for yourself. Talk to your friends about hookup culture and sex. Share this video to get the conversation started. Call out the locker room talk that you hear that contributes to an unsafe environment on campus. And of course, believe survivors. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Lizzy Friedman, this is Inside Ambition, and you're on 34th and Art, the intersection for all things arts and entertainment in and around Drexel University. First, a pop culture moment. Alright, so I know I've talked about this a lot on here, but I must bring up RuPaul's Drag Race once again. This past week, Simone was crowned the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 13. Back in winter term, I told you guys that my predictions for the top 3 were going to be Rosé, Gottmik, and Utica Queen. Well, the true top 4, in this case, we get that sometimes, was Rosé, Gottmik, Candy Muse, and Simone. I wasn't that far off. So, after probably the world's longest Drag Race season ever, we have a winner, and she is gorgeous. Wear that crown well, Simone, Simone, yay. Now this week, we're taking a look at oat milk? Man, everything about this industry seems to go sour, pun intended. First we had the Fairlife calf abuse fiasco from a couple years back. Now this. Minor Figures, a UK plant-based milk company, has caused a major failure here in Philly. This plant-based milk company decided to put up posters throughout the city to promote their new oat milk product. However, they did cover up local street art and murals in the process. There were at least 5 spots in the city covered up. They covered up things like murals thanking essential workers. They even covered up a mural urging people to vote. Excuse me? While there's absolutely nothing wrong with adding to Philly's extensive mural and street art collection, this London-based company took it too far by covering up other artists' work. People throughout the city were not pleased with the cover-ups. And not just because they were ugly. Like, objectively, it was bad art. Philly is the city of murals, not the city of oat milk campaigns, let alone oat milks from across the pond. Philly is known for its extensive collection of murals, including the work of Mural Arts, the US's largest public art program, which creates over 50 art projects every year, according to their website. Be honest. Do you think it's because they still feel a little jaded from the Boston Tea Party? I mean, we should have seen something like this coming, considering the cartons look like this. A BoJack Horseman-esque sketch of a human in a duck costume? No one asked for that. At $24 a carton, you'd think they could include some quality artistry. Not a single one of their products has a design on it that wouldn't confuse a small child. And I think that makes a statement about their business. Luckily, local artists are fighting back and reclaiming their spaces. The posters have been covered up by new art already. These Brits got another thing coming. Thinking they can come up in here and mess up our street art? Oh, heck no. Us Philadelphians, we don't stand down. We're gritty. Side note, I love gritty. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to boycott oat milk because of this, but you would never see me with cow's milk. Now, you know who would never do something like this? Oatly. Their branding is perfect. Have you seen those cartons? They sure know how to target a millennial Gen Z cusp like me. So, moral of the story. Minor figures, get yourself a new head of marketing. Also, never show your face around these parts again. It also just goes to show how important Philly street art really is. Keep it alive, baby. It's what makes us, us. Now, an event spotlight for you. Wonder Spaces is Philly's largest interactive art installation. It's located in Fashion District, right outside of Chinatown, around 11th and Market. There's a new exhibit at Wonder Spaces, and it's all about words. You can leave your own note, read other people's notes, anything you want. So head on over there and read a stranger's deepest, darkest secret. Or leave your own. Or write that killer comeback to that big fight that you had, but you only thought about it in the shower and it was too late to say it. Let it out. Let it out now. Thanks for sticking around. Let us know in the comments down below how you take your coffee with oat milk. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at inside_ambition and subscribe to us on YouTube for all the latest. I'll see you right here at the same address next week. Bye for now.
Welcome back to Drexel Update here on Inside Ambition. Before we get started, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Today, I'm here talking with the incoming student body president, Jarod Watson. Hi, Jarod, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So why don't you start by telling me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a third-year BS MBA Entertainment and Arts Management student, and this will now be my fourth year on the student government. So I have had the distinct pleasure of doing this for my entire Drexel career.
That's great. Well, congratulations on becoming the new student body president. Really looking forward to what you do this year. So why don't you talk a little bit about why you decided to run for president?
Yeah, so being on student government for what will be 4 years, it ultimately felt like the natural progression of things. I came on as a first-year representative. I've gotten to serve as a director of finance, as the Speaker of the House. I've been the student body vice president. And so not only have I got to really familiarize myself with how the organization operates, I've had the pleasure of getting to know so many students through this process. And I've also gotten to become very close with administration as well. And so I'm the kind of person who I won't run for any position if I don't feel like I'm the best person to do it. And with the experience that I had and with the goals that I had in mind, I wanted to run for president because I felt like I was in the best position to not only represent the students, but to also bridge that gap between the students and the administration.
So you served this year as a student body vice president. So what are some things that you were able to accomplish in that position this last year?
being the vice president, I've gotten to do a good amount of work with the board, and a lot of that is work that people don't ultimately recognize as the doing of student government. But there have been two main things that our board is really proud of that I feel have really benefited the university community as a whole. The first being I got to co-author the pass-fail grading system proposal, which student government sent to the university. And that basically outlines the pass-fail grading system that has been in use the entirety of remote learning. And that was really important for the student government to work with administration on that, because I know I personally have used it. I think a lot of students have. And it's been such an uncertain time. And for students that retain that control over their grades, I think it was one less thing that someone had to worry about during a time where you had to literally worry about anything. So that was something that we were incredibly proud of accomplishing. The second one was I also got to co-author the election day proposal, which most people received an email about. What that was, student government worked with the university to figure out a way to really make sure our community could participate in the general election on November 3rd. For many Drexel students, it was the first time that we could vote. For many people, it was a very important election. There was a lot on the line, regardless of what your political identity is. It was an important election to participate in, and we wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to do that, especially since Drexel is the most civically engaged university in the country. There's nothing more civically engaging than voting. And so with that, we were able to get a half day on election day. Most classes were suspended after 12 o'clock. If not, you had the exemption to miss class in order to vote or in order to be a poll worker. And it was really important that, again, we worked with administration on that, because that was something, an instance of it not only benefited the student body, it benefited faculty, it benefited staff. And those two things have really, I think, highlighted my tenure as being vice president.
Those are certainly some amazing accomplishments, some great things that you did. I know they certainly did make an impact here on campus. So I'm really thankful that you were able to do some of those things. I was able to partake in some of it. So looking ahead to next year, as we're heading into this upcoming year, what are some things that you and USGA plan to work towards?
Yeah, so I think, to preface, there's an idea that, perfection or the total betterment of the student experience is this end destination that you hit. And when you hit it, work is done, everything is fine and dandy. But we all know that that's not true. Perfection is something that you'll never reach. It's true for something like the student government and the student experience. It goes all the way up to the federal government and how we live our lives as, citizens of this country. We'll never hit perfection. So that work is something that always has to continue. And so really the first and foremost, the thing is to continue the work that we have done. It is to make sure that when our board transitions to a new board, there is no gap in service to the student body. Another main thing is, as we come back to campus in fall, it is really important that reopening of campus is student focused and that students are at the forefront of every decision that's being made. We've been on remote learning for, by the time we come back, it will almost be 2 years. And that is absolutely crazy to think about. And with that, there's no way that we come back in fall and everything is fine and dandy and back to normal. One, because normal didn't work. But two, when you're going through that drastic of a change, there's going to be issues. It's not going to be like this perfect situation. So as we come back to campus, it's really important for student government that we hear every student, what their experience is, what their concerns are, so that we can ensure that the student body is safe and supported during what is going to be another really weird time to be a college student. Second thing is, I've had the pleasure of working with the International Student Union for it's been almost 3 years now. It started at the end of my sophomore year. in their work to secure strong job placement for international students. International students do not have the same employment opportunities as a domestic student would, basically because they can't work off campus because they're international students. And so ISU has done really great work at communicating with administration, one, the issue, and two, how it can be solved. And moving forward, it's again really important for student government to keep that partnership with ISU and administration so that we can support our international students. So ultimately, they can support themselves and the families that they have abroad. The last thing, obviously, that's not the only thing, but the last thing I think I would mention is again, through this year, student government has formed a really strong relationship with the Office of Equity and Diversity. Most people would refer to it as OED. And it is so important for us, one, that it's not only supported from the university side, which it is, but there's always financing issues, there's always staffing issues, and that's not something that can be fixed overnight. It's something that takes time. And so first and foremost, we want to continue working with the university to make sure that OED is fully supported. On the other side of that, the student side, it's ensuring that students understand, one, that that resource is there, and two, that it's a resource that they can trust and they can have full confidence in. OED at any university is so crucial to the student experience, to making sure that students are supported and that they feel safe at what is really their home. So we want to make sure that not only is OED fully supported from the university side, but that students know that it's a resource that they can use at what would really be the toughest point of what could be their life. So it's a lot. It's wide ranging, from making sure we're safe and supported coming back to campus, to helping international students, to supporting OED. There's no limit to the work that we will do, but those are definitely some of our main focuses as we start this new year.
Certainly seem like we have a full plate ahead of us. Certainly a wide range of things, but I think a lot of things that will really be super beneficial for the student body. So I look forward to seeing all of the work that you continue to do through USGA. So with all of that said, I guess probably what is the thing you're most looking forward to in this new position for this upcoming year?
There's a lot of things that I look forward to. It's definitely an exciting moment. Being in student government and getting to have this opportunity to serve students is something that I feel weird saying it's changed my life, because I feel like that's such a cliche thing, like to respond to any question, but it really has. Like, it's what has given me a sense of purpose. It's my community. Like, these people are my friends and my fellow representatives. But it's really helped me grow a passion for service. And so being able to continue to serve the student body and to advocate for them if they feel like they can't advocate for themselves is so important to me. And it's also very humbling that like the university community has trusted me to do that. So that's very exciting. And I'm, honored to continue that work. The other thing I look forward to is, as I mentioned, I'm a Westfall student. Emily, you are a Westfall student. We are in the same program for everyone watching. It's also really cool to get to represent Westfall in this way as well. Arts and entertainment kids, I feel like we're always looked over based off of the nature of what we have decided to pursue. It's lucrative, it's hard work, and I will die on the hill that arts kids don't get the credit that they deserve. So I'm also very excited to make the point clearly that any student can do this kind of work. There's not a one size fits all approach to leadership. So I'm excited to continue serving, and I'm excited to be a Westfall student in this position. Maybe the first will not be the last. But I'm excited to set the example that anyone can do this and hopefully inspire some people to get involved.
Well, Jarod, thank you so much for being on Update again. I'm very, very excited for you in this new position, and I can't wait to see what you're able to accomplish here on campus this upcoming year.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, and that's it for Drexel Update this week. Again, make sure that you go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.
Hi, I'm Lizzy Friedman, this is Inside Ambition, and you're on 34th and Art, the intersection for all things arts and entertainment in and around Drexel University. First up, we have something new we're adding to the segment, a pop culture moment. So first up, we're going to talk about Lil Nas X's new song, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. Parentheses. Lil Nas released the song just a few days before Easter. And if you know the song, I'm sure you know that the Catholics and the Christians don't really like this song due to its explicit music video. Now, I don't think it's a coincidence that Lady Gaga just so happened to release her single Judas from the Born This Way album the same few days just before Easter back in 2011. Now, that song also has some pretty weird connotations about religion. So take that as you will, but I love a good parallel. All right, so that was our little pop culture moment. Let us know if you liked it. There will be more to come. Now, I don't know about you, but we're 5 weeks in and I already need a break. And there's nothing like some good old-fashioned music. And not the elevator kind. I was just saying it weird. Cat, what? This week, we're taking a look at Diamond Dog Records. Diamond Dog Records is a local Philadelphia-based music label started by some of Drexel's very own music industry program majors. 5 sophomores, Haley, Sophie, Mina, Kat, and Agatha, started in the program just 2 years ago, but have had so much prior experience and are now using their education to make their own record label. We love female-led business. A dime a dozen? Sorry, I only know Diamond Dog Records. After launching in just February of this year, Diamond Dog Records already represents Lena Fine, Ihan, and Christina Nicole. Check them out on Spotify. Diamond Dog provides all the essential services that a record label needs, like marketing, PR, management, creative services, and distribution. The music industry program at Drexel emphasizes business and production, and clearly does a great job at teaching its students real-life skills based on what we've seen from these 5 ladies. These gals are really putting their education to work, and we love to see it. Once again, proof that ambition really just cannot wait, not even for a moment. This label is innovative in so many ways. Not only is it the first female-run music label to come out of Drexel, it is kind of one of the only fully female-led labels in the whole industry. In 2018, only 2.3% of music producers were female, according to Statista Research Department. And in 2019, that number only increased to 5%. So, to talk more about Diamond Dog Records, we have the whole team with us here today. Thanks so much, Kat, Nina, Agatha, Sophie, and Haley for coming on to the show today. First things first, we got some riveting questions for you guys. The people really want to know where the name Diamond Dog came from. Is there a dog? Can we meet him? Who is he?
I literally wish there was a dog. Maybe we should get a dog. But we spent like a good month and a half trying to decide on a name and just kind of going back and forth with different names that we liked. And we ended up on Diamond Dog because there's a song by Jesse Rutherford. He's the lead singer of The Neighborhood. It's called Diamond Dog. And I was just like, that would be a cool name for a label, and everyone else liked it. So we just stuck with it.
Awesome. Interesting. How has Drexel made this whole process possible for you guys, if at all?
I think Drexel kind of gave us the starting point of our knowledge, so we could build off of that. And starting this, we did have a good background in everything we focus in. From previous to Drexel and including Drexel, Drexel did offer us the basis, and then we kind of built on top of that. And Drexel also really does give us like the good connections to our professors who are willing to help us and stuff like that. So
yeah, totally. That makes sense. I think it's awesome that you guys all met each other through Drexel, and like being in the same major. So I think that's like really cool. And everyone always talks about how like, yeah, Drexel, if anything, it's good for the connections. So you guys are really using that to your advantage, which is pretty awesome. So what kind of has been like the most exciting part of creating and running your own record label?
A major part of running a record label is really just developing these like personal relationships with such like creative people, whether it's the artists or the people that we work with, with the artists, photographers, videographers, graphic designers, other musical engineers, producers. We just get a wide array of people to work with. And I think one of the most exciting things in starting this record label is just how quickly it's expanded and how quickly people are interested in working with us. And it's a lot of fun because you don't really know what you're going to get, especially with all the artists being so different from each other. Each one's like a different project, and then each artist has different projects within their own work. So you just get a lot of never know what's coming, but also in a positive way. So
yeah, that's super interesting. I think it takes like a lot of courage and just knowledge in general to like be able to do all this, especially with how like early in the like development process you guys are with all of this. And yeah, I think collaboration is so cool. We talk a lot about on the show about how like, you know, interdisciplinary work in the arts is like so important, and how it allows you to like create so many different works. And yeah, and I looked into your guys's artists that you have signed right now, and like, yeah, they're all so versatile and so different. And I think it's really cool that you guys don't have like just like one niche like genre that you work with. So yeah, I think that's really awesome. How are you guys kind of looking to network, and how can like we and other people support Diamond Dog?
I think it kind of goes back to how like Drexel is here for us to kind of make different connections, especially like interdisciplinary connections with, you know, like videographers, photographers, and then going into like graphic design, like the art majors, but also just in general, because we're at Drexel, we're always involved with different like panel discussions and like meeting other people in like Facebook groups, LinkedIn, different like avenues where we just like randomly meet people and they're like, oh, I know you from Grammy U, or different organizations like that. So I think we're quickly like meeting new people and expanding, like Sophie said, and just like, you know, making new connections to help our brand grow.
Totally. Yeah. And you guys are great on like Instagram and all of those social medias. Like that's how I found out about you guys was through the gram. And I think that's awesome. Like, you know, that's really how everyone's getting their content and their news nowadays. So I think that's a really great aspect that you guys have there. Who are some of your guys's female music inspirations, like music industry inspirations?
I think trying to find female inspirations in the music industry is like sadly hard to do. Not that there aren't hundreds and hundreds of women who are incredibly talented in whatever facet of the music industry they work in, but it's so male dominated that you hear a lot about female artists, which are great, but in terms of like who runs the business, who's engineering the album, all of that stuff, you don't hear about the women. The women make up such a small percentage of the behind the scenes of the music industry that it's hard, unless you're looking for an artist, to really like pick a name out of a hat. That's someone you're going to really know a lot about, because you can definitely find the women who have done great stuff online, and you can find them on Instagram. You can find their credits, you can find the videos, the albums and stuff they've worked on, but you're not going to hear about them as much. So it's hard to really find those inspirations. If you had said, what are your inspirations in the music industry? I think all of us would have immediately had like one person come to mind, but it would have been a guy. And it's like, you don't even really think about that until you're a female in the music industry and you're trying to find people literally from this question. And you're like, I don't know. I'm sure there are plenty, but it's really hard to find where they're coming from because they're not publicized as much, and they should be.
Yeah, I totally agree. Which I think is great that you guys are all, a whole female-led like producing team. And I know all of your artists so far are females, okay, cool. Yeah. And I think that's really great. Because women, or just men in general, just dominate every single industry everywhere. I think that it's really great to see things like you guys working, and a lot of other things that like try to uplift the voices of more marginalized genders. When I was writing the question, I don't know why, right away in my head was like Gwen Stefani. I'm a big No Doubt fan and I love her. So I was like, yeah, she's cool. Another question for you guys. What is Diamond Dog's brand? Like, what are you guys going for?
So I would say that our brand is basically like trying to be fresh and like new innovative music, coupled with like innovative ideas and how to bring in an audience and kind of like keep them engaged, while also like being a house for like indie alternative music. That's like kind of like what we're going for, but I think definitely the biggest thing is like trying to be something fresh and new, and then for people like of our generations and like later generations and any generation really, just trying to be something different.
I think that's great, and I think that encapsulates like what you guys are doing right now really well too. So lastly, just to get some recommendations out there for the folks watching at home, who are some artists that you guys are all currently listening to?
First off, all day, everyday Beyonce.
Yes.
Beyonce. All the time.
All the time. Yeah, she's a queen.
I'm currently listening to a lot of Lake Street Dive. Their new album just came out, and
oh really? I love Lake Street Dive.
Yeah, so I love all their stuff, but their new album is chef's kiss.
I find myself going back to Knocked Loose. I love that band. They're hardcore, so not really well known, but I always tend to fall back to them.
I think I'm always listening to like Phoebe Bridgers and Lorde and like a lot of Frank Ocean.
Always a vibe.
I've been really into Sasha Sloan lately. She's like a chill indie vibe girl.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on 34th and Art. And I wish you and all of the Diamond Dog team the most success. Now, those are some boss ladies. #girlboss. I'd say they don't even need a co-op after being able to do all that. You can find Diamond Dog Records on Instagram at Diamond Dog Records. And don't forget to tell them that we sent ya. Thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at inside_ambition and subscribe to us on YouTube for all the latest. I'll see you guys right here at the same address next week. Bye for now.